Hello and welcome to my channel where I talk about kanji and how interesting it is and how much I like it. Today I'd like to talk about kotodama. Okay, kotodama, or the concept of word spirit, something that permeates even modern Japanese society, I think. Not a lot of people use foul language, even English words. So interesting concept that goes back to very ancient times, maybe even before writing. So we have koto. Koto is the kunyomi reading, the native Japanese reading. Of course, I have here in the red koto, the kunyomi, the native Japanese reading for word, and tama or dhamma when it's put together, dhamma being a spirit. Okay, so koto down here, most commonly we see this with kotoba, meaning the usual word for a word. So koto meaning word, and ha here meaning leaf, as we can see from the top with the kusakanmuri, indicating a kanji relating to a plant. In old Japanese, words were called koto no ha, meaning the word leaves. It was believed they were quite magical, as the topic of this is about. Underneath, we have the most common onyomi reading of the word koto, which is gen, the kanon, as it's called. So gengo, meaning linguistics. Go is the word we see as the suffix for any language. Okay, so Spain go, Spanish, eigo, English, Nihongo, Japanese, and so on. And underneath this, we have another onyomi reading, this time an older, oh, sorry, not yet. Another example, Gengo Gaku, Gaku meaning to study. So Gengo Gaku, the study of linguistics. Underneath that, we have Shin Gon. In this case, Gon, not Gen, not Koto, but Gon. This is a Go-on, much older onyomi that usually came to the country in the early forms of Buddhism, because in this case it is a form of Buddhism. Shingon. Buddhism is a type of Buddhism characterized by belief in the spirit of particularly Sanskrit words. So Shin here means real, and Gon words Shingon. On the other side here we have so kotodama, the Dhamma part. It has a kanon onyomi reading of Rei. Reikon means a spirit, basically. This one here, Rei and Kon, both mean a spirit or soul. Okay, when a lot of jukugo, so kanji combinations, are formed by putting together two words with similar or same meanings. Underneath that, we have onryo. So in this case, it's not Rei, it's not Tama. Again, it's an older go-on onyomi reading that often came through Buddhism. In fact, this one is also an Gon onyomi, I believe. So en or uramu to hate, detest, hold a grudge, and spirit. So onryo meaning a hateful and angry spirit. This is a phrase you might often see in horror movies, where it's often a theme. In Japanese history too, people really believed in this, and I'm going to talk about a case of that later. So, first I'd like to talk a little bit about waka poetry, very central to old Japanese culture. Again, this is, I think of this as the original Japanese art form. So, not always the same, but usually it's 5 syllables, 7 syllables, 5 syllables, 7 syllables, and 7 syllables. Similar to haiku, which is 5-7-5, but in this case 5-7-5-7-7, but not always. So the oldest collection of waka poetry. Of course, wa here can also be read as Yamato, which is the name of old Japan, or the central Japanese court, and uta here means song. It's onyomi forms as waka, sometimes read as Yamato no uta. Okay, the oldest collection of that is the 10,000, the Manyoshu, the 10,000 leaf collection. Okay, so you might recognize this word leaf from the word kotoba, the heart leaf part. Okay, the 10,000 word collection. It's a collection from the Nara period, compiled around 750 AD, of over 4,500 waka poems. And the full collection has, I believe, has never actually been translated into English, but it's very famous, very old. Actually, the very first song of the Manyoshu, they're usually referred to as uta or song, is Yuryaku Tenno. Yuryaku Tenno no uta. That's just the name I've given it. That's not its official name. But the song of Emperor Yuryaku. This song, it doesn't follow the 5-7-5-7-7 syllable pattern that I mentioned before. It's a choka long song. So then it's very old. It predates the Manyoshu by a few hundred years, actually, before any surviving written material exists. So whether or not it's actually Yuryaku Tenno's song is probably doubtful. It may have just been added later for some sort of symbolic meaning. But in any case, Yuryaku Tenno, of course, it's a posthumous name. Yu means a male animal. Raku here means an abbreviation or a plan, and tenor, sky, and emperor. So it just means emperor, tenor, the title used for the modern emperor. Actually, at the time that Yuryaku Tenno was alive, that word didn't exist. They were called Okumi, a different name that was added in the Nara period, or just before. So, to sum up the song, Emperor Yuryaku Tenno meets a young girl collecting plants in the plains, and he sings a song asking for her family name and her name. The significance of asking for her name is that he is proposing marriage. In ancient Japan, for a woman to tell a man her name was to accept marriage, and to ask for a name was to propose marriage. So he does it in a very sort of condescending and a very arrogant kind of a way, talking about how he's the ruler of all this land and he's powerful and all the rest of it, and that may be to show he's kind of seen as like a Nero character, so it's some sort of moral lesson in that perhaps, but that was the power of words, okay, the spirit in the song. In fact, Nara period and Heian marriage customs usually began with an exchange of waka poems. And there's a lot of rules and how they were written, which I find quite interesting. But again, women's names were not known to anybody that was not a close relative. Part of that was because if you knew somebody's full name, you could cast curses on them. And women were considered a bit more frail, so to protect them, their names weren't given. Ancient women, the only case their names are known are if they married an emperor, in which case it survives in documents. But this is particularly curious because in Heian period, in the Heian period court, even in the Nara period, there were quite prominent women artists, most notably in the Heian period under the time of Ichijo Tenno, so around the year 1000. Emperor Lady Murasaki, it's Murasaki meaning purple, Murasaki Shikibu. Okay, that's the name she's given. She wrote the tale of Genji, the Genji Monogatari, the world's oldest novel, so they say. A very, very long sort of love story about the playboy Hikaru Genji and his life, even his descendants, even. But this is not her name. Murasaki is the name that she's been given from one of the characters in her novel, and Shikibu was the job title of her father, whose name is known. He was a member of the Fujiwara family. Actually, Murasaki Shikibu was the heroine in last year's 2024 tiger drama, year-long historical tiger drama, Hikaru Kumie. In which case they gave her the name of Mahiro, but that was just fictional reasons. Nobody knows her real name. Shikibu was the name of a minister of education. Her father's job was to educate members of the imperial family. So she's named after her father. One of her contemporaries and kind of a rival was Sei Shonagon. Sei Shonagon is famous for Makura Soshi. I think the pillow book, they call it in English. And again, she has Sei here, which the kunyomi reading is Kyo. It's the first character in her father's, or her family name. Okay, so she's given the first character, which is Kyo, but it's pronounced Sei in the onyomi reading. And Shonagon again is an aristocratic title that her father held. So she's named after her family name and her father's title. And after that, another contemporary is Fujiwara no Michitsuna no Haha. Okay, Fujiwara Michitsuna's mother. Okay, so she's just named after her son. She wrote a famous diary, Kagero Nikki it was called, about her life and her observations in the imperial court. But I find this very interesting. Actually, Murasaki Shikibu in particular, she not only wrote the tale of Genji, but she also wrote Murasaki Shikibu Nikki, her diary, spanning several years. So someone you can almost know, but you can't know her name. Nobody does. So it's really curious that these ancient people are so prominent and yet nobody knows their names. Once again, this has got to do with the ancient beliefs in the kotodama, the word spirit. Lastly, talking about onmyo, I'd like to talk about Tenjin Sama. Okay, Ten, sky, Jin, or Shin, kami, God. Sama, or Sama is just the polite, the equivalent of son, given to a client or a god or somebody in high positions. Tenjin Sama, the god of study, one of the most popular and prayed to gods in Japan to the present day. So everybody knows Japanese children study very hard. They all go to pray to Tenjin Sama for success in their exams. He's very popular, but he was a real person. His name was Sugawara. The no is given silently in these old names. So Sugawara no Michizane. Suga is a type of plant, as we can see from Kusakanmuri up the top. Hara, or in this case pronounced as wara, it's changed its pronunciation over time, is a plain, as in a land, plain, flat, no mountains. So Sugawara no Michi, is the kunyomi reading of door or road, path. Zane. Okay, Zane is an alternative reading of Shin, as in Shingon. So path and truth or whatever. But Sugawara no Michizane. Sugawara no Michizane was an aristocrat that he died in the 900s. Around 100 years before Lady Murasaki Shikibu lived. He is famous for waka, again, Yamato Uta, native Japanese songs. One of his is featured in the Hyakunin issue, the famous collection of 100 poems from 100 different singers or artists that is memorized by children in school today who play it as karuta, kind of snap game. Underneath that, kanji. He was also very famous for kanji. Kan, same as in kanji, Chinese character, and shi means poetry. Okay, we're going to see gonben on the side, meaning something to do with language. So in this case, shi is a poem. So kanji, Chinese poetry. At the time that he was alive, all educated people were expected to know of the great Tang Dynasty Chinese poets, and Sugawara no Michizane was writing poems that still survive from when he was a child. He was quite a literary genius. But of course, he had a rival in the famous Fujiwara clan. So here we have Fuji. Fuji, a famous plant. It's like a wisteria vine or something. Often grows by rivers. And you can see Kusakan Muri on the top, so we know it's a plant. Fujiwara, in fact, the same wara that's in Ohara, meaning plain, that's in Sugawara's name. Tokihira. Toki means time. Hira means flat. Okay, Tokihira. Fujiwara no. Again, the no is silent, and these old names, Fujiwara no, Tokihira. So he shared power with Sugawara no Michizane, gained the emperor's favor, and eventually he had Sugawara no Michizane exiled to Dazaifu. Okay, Da meaning big, Zai meaning like a minister, and Fu meaning administrative region. Okay, Dazaifu. Dazaifu is in Kyushu. It's a long way from Kyoto. Sugawara no Michizane was sent to Dazaifu. He was sent there to work, but it was really in exile. And he spent his time there writing poems about how much he wanted to go back to Kyoto, how he missed the plants in Kyoto and many things. And shortly after, I think within a few years of arriving in Dazaifu, he died there, never got to go back to Kyoto. So the story goes, he became an Omyo, the angered spirit. And it was shortly after that the imperial palace was struck by lightning. Many people, particularly of the Fujiwara clan, including Tokihira himself, I believe, died shortly after. And it was all believed to be the work of the angered spirit of Sugawara no Michizane. So to appease the spirit, and probably as a result of his genius in life, he was deified and become a god. He became Tenjin Sama. To this day, one of the most popular gods in Japan, mainly because he's the god of study. And lastly, another important influence on kotodama. I'm probably missing a lot of things. I make these videos for enjoyment more than anything else, but Shingon Bukyo. So Shingon Bukyo, I talked about before. So Shin meaning true, koto meaning word, and here book. This is the character for Buddhism. It's also used in modern Japan to refer to France for no particular reason. But here it's Buddhism, and we have Nimben meaning a person, and the tsukuri, the right hand side, indicates space. Bukkyo. Kyo means to teach, or a type of teaching. So in this case, Bukkyo, the teachings of the Buddha. So, Shingon Bukkyo is a type of esoteric Buddhism. Esoteric is a difficult word that I didn't even know a long time ago, but it means in Japanese it's Mikyo. Mikyo. And when you look at the Japanese, if you already read kanji, you know straight away what this means, because Mikyo comes from hi, mitsu, meaning secret. Okay, so here, secret, mitsu, meaning secret as well. Okay, so Mikyo, secret, secret Buddhism, basically, because we like to make things difficult, it seems, we've called it esoteric Buddhism instead of secret Buddhism. So Shingon Mikyo Bukkyo was brought to Japan by Kukai, or his other name is Kobo Daishi. He's one of the most legendary figures in ancient Japanese history. The founder of Koyasan, the head of Shingon Buddhism in Japan, a famous tourist spot. There's legends about him founding drinking water springs all over the country that probably didn't happen because there's more than he likely could have visited in his lifetime. But Ku meaning sky and Kai meaning umi or sea. That's his most common name, Kukai, or Ko. Ko is a kanji that's not commonly used in modern Japanese. It basically means wide. Ko bo. This case bo, also pronounced as ho, and it's the same as in law. In Buddhism, it's often used to mean the Dharma, the law of everything. So the wide laws. Tai meaning big, and Shi meaning teacher. The Kobo Daishi, the wide, big teacher of everything, something like that. So again, he lived a little bit before Sugawara no Michizane, in the very earliest part of the Heian period. He was born in Sanuki in Shikoku in the late Nara period. We say that, but really, Nara period only lasted about 80 years. So it's dates given from 710 to 784 when they moved first to Fujiwara Kyo, which was cursed by, again, Sugawara no Michizane. Then they eventually moved in 794 to what is now Kyoto. In that case, it was Heian-kyo. Okay, moved originally from Heijō-kyo, which is now Nara, to Heian-kyo. So he lived in that transitional phase. He visited China specifically to study Mikyo. So Mikyo up here, the esoteric Buddhism. And what he studied was Shingon. He was recognized by the head of the school in China as the successor, and given permission to go back to Japan. There's a lot of stories. He was an expert calligrapher. He was an expert listener. He was quite a superhuman character. But yeah, talking about kotodama, the spirit of words, you can't forget to talk about Shingon Bukkyo. So if you visit a Shingon temple, what stands out are often the Sanskrit writing you'll see everywhere. And a lot of times they'll have the Shingon for each particular god or character written somewhere. When people pray in Shingon, they often recite incantations in Sanskrit. It was believed that the words were magical, the meaning didn't matter. You didn't need to know what they actually meant. You just had to recite them. So that still happens. People come and they recite the Shingon of Yakushin Yorai, the Buddha of healing, and different things. So it's Shingon Buddhism, thanks to Kukai, or Kobo Daishi, his other name. in the early Heian period. So that's all I have to talk about today. Just a few thoughts about kotodama, word spirit in Japan, and more. I hope you liked it. If you're interested, please come back for more. Thanks for listening.